Football is back. NFL Hall of Fame game is going on right now, but you know what to do. Listen, like, subscribe. Here we go.
Let's go! This ain't the Fox like forces think he stinks!
Oh shit!
He's gone!
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, brought to you by Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere you download your podcast. So if you're listening to us live right now or on your commute or in the shower using Manscaped, we appreciate your support. It's your boy Chucks here. As always, to my left, it's not Pete Evans, it's Mr. Jake Friel.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's me. What's up?
And as usual, to my bottom left, it is Mr. Young over there. What's going on?
Not much, baby.
You're
Football's
eating.
back.
That's what's going on. Yeah, football is back. Football is back, and you are eating. You're the reason why we're late. Let's just put it that way. You're the reason why we're late. We were supposed to start a minute ago. We're a minute late. So if I get blamed, I'm just blaming you because you're eating.
You are aware I'm used to doing shows with Jake, right?
I don't know what that means.
We're always late on Fan Friday. We never started on time.
Not my fault.
Yeah, I don't play that.
No, not my fault.
I if I could help it, we always try to start on time. But hey, we're here, and so is NFL football. Granted, it's only the Hall of Fame game, but it's NFL football. It's being played right now as we speak. 13-0 Las Vegas right now over Doug Peterson's Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll give live reactions as we go. I mean, there's not much to react to.
Yeah.
But we will have it on, and if stuff happens, we will be here to react to it. But we've got more preseason and training camp to cover on the Eagles side of things, and plus more NFL storylines to dive into. So the first half of the show, it's brought to you by eXp Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, if you're looking for a change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at allen.foy@exprealty.com. We're also brought to you by All Campus, which is giving 20% off everything in their store, including hats and shirts to all of their subscribers. And our poll question, which is brought to you by On Campus, for tonight, the Eagles defense will be one of the best in the league under Jonathan Gannon in 2022. Agree or disagree? Again, that's brought to you by All Campus. All right, gentlemen. So, not going to lie to you guys that are listening at home or wherever. I didn't know what to talk about today. There's really not much going on except for training camp stuff for everyone to overreact to. So I pulled something out of my butt. Last minute. I was like, all right, let's just talk about defense. Let's talk about something that's been divisive since last year, and that's Jonathan Gannon and this defense heading into the season. Jake, agree or disagree to the poll that the Eagles defense will be one of the best under defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon in 2022?
It's so tough because when you look on paper, it's an easy agree. But obviously, we have all the ingredients in the kitchen, but it depends on how the chef prepares it, right? That's the whole thing that a lot of us are worried about. And well, I shouldn't say a lot of us, but at least myself anyway, speaking for myself. But I'm gonna say agree just because I have confidence in Gannon, just because with the pieces that you have and all the acquisitions that you brought in this offseason, including Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, James Bradbury, Hassan Reddick, Kazir White, the list goes on with defensive talent. So with all this talent that you have, and for a guy that's as highly coveted as he is, to a lot of our surprise, who got what feels like 7 or 8 head coaching interviews this past offseason. Yeah, I'm going to agree, just because what we've heard through camp, it's defense has won this practice, defense has won that practice, and that's a whole other tangent. I'm going to go on later on in the show when you're talking about winning and losing practices. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But I'm going to agree to the poll. I do think they are going to be one of the better defenses in the league this year under Jonathan Gannon.
Young, what's good?
So when we say like one of the better ones, are we like talking like top 5, top 10, like, you know, middle? Like,
well, it's subjective. I don't want to say top 5 or like listen to top 10. But like if they're right outside top 5, I'd still consider it. But you know, like if they're top 10, I'd still like, you know, they're going to be much better. If they're a top 10 defense, they're much better than what they were last year. You know, and they're in the upper third of the league. So I guess you can say it if it's around top 10. It's more so, again, I'm not going to also limit it to like top 10 under what? Like yards allowed, points just allowed, like what we're talking about. So there's different ways to rank a defense. So I'm just going to say like one of the better units overall in the league.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think they're probably going to be one of the better defenses in the league, just based on what you have right now. Because they went out and they got Kazir White, they got Nakobe Dean, they got Jordan Davis. You know, you got James Bradbury. You added a solid safety in Whiskey Tart. You know what I mean? Like, everything should be there for Jonathan Gannon. Like, there's no excuses like it was last year to where you were facing like all these elite quarterbacks starting things off. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a bit more up and down as opposed to last year where your first 10 games were nothing but elite quarterbacks.
Oh, that was it? No, you're done.
Yes.
I guess
it's just hard with Jonathan again because I've been watching a lot of like film recently going over shit, and I'm just like, there's stuff that's really good and I really like, and then there's stuff where I'm just like, what the hell am I watching? But I also know that like a lot of that last year has to do with the fact that he just didn't have the personnel. He didn't have the pass rush. The linebackers were mediocre. The secondary was suspect at times, and he just didn't. And one of his better defensive players in Brandon Graham went down. Guys who expected to step up didn't. So, you know, by all measures, everything that he has going on for him right now, it should be a top 10 defense on paper, like Jake said.
Yeah. All right, Nate, what's going on?
What up, Nate?
Do you agree or
What up?
disagree?
What up? What up? What up?
What up?
The ceiling.
What were you saying?
Oh, yeah. Agree or disagree to the poll?
You guys just stopped talking for a second. Right? Like it was a weird pause.
Happening a lot.
It's because you're not wearing your glasses, bro. You're not part of the crew.
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
keep forgetting.
Come on, man. You got to get with it. There you go.
All right, now the show has started. Now the show
has absolutely started.
I think we need a glasses game
One of the best.
t-shirt.
It's I want to be real optimistic here. I really do. But I'm going to disagree because I think with football, it takes time to get better. It takes time to learn your personnel. We understand that it's going to be a hybrid 4-3-3-4. He's going to try to move pieces around. They have stars everywhere, right? They have star power everywhere. But I think that we still haven't really seen Gannon's style. I don't know if he blitzes a lot. I don't know if he kind of plays coverage and play to his strengths, press, zone. Like he's just like this mixed bag, and I just don't know for the love of God of me of how he's a head coaching candidate, right? Like it's just insane that he's a head coaching candidate. And I'll tell you this right now: if they are a top defense and they run deep, I'm not sure he's going to be here next year. Next year.
No. Yeah, no.
Because he'll get more of those conversations. He was already close this past year. So obviously the dude is smart and has great psychology in terms of football. He's got a lot, like this team is loaded, man. This team is so loaded on paper from left to right. You have star power everywhere. The only place you don't have star power is safety. That's it.
Yeah.
Like everywhere else, there's some star or some potential Pro Bowler. So I'm going to disagree because I think Gannon still has to figure it out. Too many pieces, too many kind of places to kind of figure out of, and then the guessing game. Is it really a right time to play a 3-4? What's your base defense? You know what I mean? Like there's a couple kind of more in-depth nuances that I think Gannon has to figure out. But the schedule helps us because the schedule is soft. So, I could see that top 10 number creeping in there. But, I mean, we were close to last or the tail end of sacks last year. So that has to go up. But you're putting Reddick in coverage. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces to see what this team on the defensive side on the field looks like. But I think when they turn it on, they could be scary.
Yeah.
Third worst in sacks, but yet we were the second best pass rush team.
Okay.
Yeah, second place doesn't cut it for me. Right? That's like Derek Barnett. You led the league in quarterback pressure, but no sacks.
But that's why it's so crazy to where those two things make no sense in my head. Because if you're you're the second worst sacking team in the NFL, I never would think okay, they're great at rushing the quarterback. Those two things just don't gel together in my head.
I think they do, but you also got to consider. I think whenever I see a stat for pressures and stuff, I always think back to what I think it was a few years ago when shortly after we won the Super Bowl. I went to I did research on this, and I went to different websites and how they track pressures. Every website was different. So pressures is one of those things where it's subjective, because how do you quantify or measure a pressure? Is pushing the pocket in count as a pressure, or does it not? So you have one website might count it as one might not. So that's where the whole pressure stats thing. I obviously you pay attention to it because you have to know at some point, how are teams, doing in terms of pressures, but you also have to consider that just because one website says one thing, another website might track it totally differently and might say another. So that's kind of where it is. And also you can get a lot of pressure, but maybe you're just not getting home because the quarterback's getting it out quickly. Now in total, what I will agree with you on is in total in the macro sense, when you're talking about over the course of a whole season, as a whole, in total, yeah, that is kind of alarming when the disparity is that much different. So I agree there. Where I'm talking about is more of a micro sense. In a macro sense, it's you hardly ever see that. If you get a lot of pressure, yeah, you're going to get at least a good amount of sacks to where you're not in the bottom of the league. So I get that. What I will, for the poll question, what I will answer to it is agree. But I kind of agree with everything you guys said. You guys hit on a lot of good points that, I was going to cover. What Young said was that, Gannon doesn't have many of the pieces. And Pete and I have been saying that all year. We were two of the only people that you'll find at A2D that were making that case. Is that Gannon really what players on the roster did Gannon have to utilize? And not only that, but this is a new system teaching different types of coverages. The players were also adjusting and learning the system, and there were a lot of instances where execution was just lacking. It was really lacking in terms of because we ran different types of zones than we had under Schwartz. A lot of the players, the zone exchanges were so awful. So that's not on players. That's on. I mean, that's not on Gannon. That's on the players still learning it. So did I freeze?
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah, definitely for us.
Sorry. What I was saying is a lot of the struggles the defense had last year, it's on players as well as it was on Gannon. Now, what I will say to Nate's point is because of how things went, yeah, we really don't know what Gannon wants to do because, like, we know that this is what we know about Gannon. He is a disciple of the Fangio system, right? The Vic Fangio, cover two high type of defense, and with a hybrid front. So he likes to mix it up. That's what he does. And like another example of someone that is similar to Gannon or what Gannon wants to be like is Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley does the same type of thing, but he's where Gannon has kind of struggled so far. Staley has gone from the Rams to where is he at now? I forget where he went to, but he's that defense and how he runs that scheme is kind of more proven. So like that's what we know about Gannon, but he had to divert from a lot of that last year because of personnel. So what is he going to do now that he has the guys? That is an unknown to some degree. The one thing that I did criticize Gannon a lot of last year was his lack of pressure, and lack of aggressiveness. Like he when you don't get pressure, when the D line isn't getting pressure, you gotta be more aggressive than you are and blitz at least a little bit more. Like you don't have to be Jim Johnson, but you've got to at least dial up some more blitzes, and you've got to be more aggressive in your coverages, play a little bit more press man. And he did toward the end, but like you want to see more aggressiveness. So I've had criticisms of Jonathan Gannon, and I think that he's going to this year, like what Young said, there's no excuses. He has the people, he has the roster now, so now there's nothing holding him back from deploying all the schemes that he should want to deploy. So I will agree to the poll, but it is with like a let's see what Gannon's going to be because we don't know yet.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think we just don't know. Like and nobody's gonna play in the preseason. I mean, they're not hitting, so
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're not hitting, but two of them have concussions.
Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard have concussions, even with that freaking.
And then they're wearing bubble hats.
Yeah,
whatever works.
Bubble hats. It's just like what? Like what are we talking about?
I thought that was supposed to help prevent. I guess not.
We're not hitting. Coach, I got a concussion. Like what?
Hey, everyone complaining about not hitting. I'm like, go look at the Cowboys. Go look at the Broncos. Go look at the Bucks. All their guys are going down. I'm on team. Whatever the fuck keeps my players healthy.
Yeah, I'm not I know there's some old heads and there's some old, kind of old players and things like that. Like I'm from the 3 to 4 time practice era. Like when I was in camp, we practiced 3 times a day, right? And we hit and we banged every single day. And being a defensive lineman, we bang. And like as a lineman, you hit every play. If you don't get hit as a lineman, that means something happened. There was a miss and like an assignment on the play. You never don't hit as a lineman. So I think it's important that linemen hit. It develops some nastiness a little bit. But your skill positions, your linebackers and stuff, it's fine that they don't hit and thud. I don't think you need to hit every play. But these cats, as big, as strong, as fast as they are, these boys is fragile. You know what I mean? They're fragile.
Yup, we were
they're tearing ACLs, like pulling hamstrings, concussions. Like it's just ridiculous how much the injuries have grown.
Yeah,
and serious injuries. Like like people pop in their Achilles tendon, like what? You know what I mean? Like you just it's really insane. But I mean, you got to protect the product. You got to protect the players. as best you can. People have their livelihoods on the line here. So I'm not. I embrace the new school thought. I'm an old school guy. I like to hit. I think you should be hitting in camp, but I embrace the new thought of these guys don't have to hit. I'm just really fucking confused on how these guys got concussions.
So am I. I memean, that's kind of laughable. But like, anytime you hear the old guys complain and cry about like the way people practice, like the Cataldi's and other people like that, I just know 5 seconds later they're going to have some Buddy Ryan quote ready for me. Because it's always a Buddy Ryan guy. It's always a Buddy Ryan guy.
Well, that's with I agree with Nate in terms of like, because it sounds like Nate is like kind of like in the between, like you enjoy and you embrace the physicality.
It's football,
because it's football, and you kind of like I totally understand the sense of like, hey, like with football, if you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt. Like whether you hit or not, like you're going to get hurt. It's gonna happen, whether it be preseason or regular season. So I think there has to be like a balance, like in between, in terms of, or a happy medium is what I'm trying to say, where like, yeah, you can kind of limit the physicality a bit, but there still should be physicality. Like you should still be hitting, because you kind of have to get these players up to speed with contact. Like you don't want to see missed tackles after missed tackle after missed tackle for the first month of the season, stuff like that. And then also when you're not used to the contact and then all of a sudden it's week 1 and it's full contact out of nowhere, sometimes that leads you to getting hurt more because you're not used to the contact. And so it's I know, and it's easier said than done. I'm not saying here that like, oh, I know how it should be like this. No, it's a tough medium to find, but like I don't lean one way or another. I think there are definitely cases for both sides in terms of what you should do with training camp. It's funny, Young, what you said about the Buddy Ryan thing, and I wanted to allude to that question next in terms of I mentioned the type of scheme Gannon wants to run, and one of the things that Gannon and that Fangio type of scheme is known for is limiting the big plays, limiting explosive plays. And last year, the Eagles were towards the top of the league in limiting big plays, and that's something that now a lot of people that criticize Gannon over and over, they didn't realize that. It's something they didn't really put to the forefront and like to focus on. But I think that's a huge plus, especially after Schwartz, like that led up so many big plays. But I think a lot of people complained with the scheme because it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't. We love Buddy Ryan. We love Jim Johnson, that attacking type of defense. But then when you have now in this day and age where defenses want to limit explosive plays, that doesn't sit well with this city. It does, because they don't. That's not what they prefer. I've always been of the mindset of just because it's not what you prefer doesn't mean it doesn't work. And I think I've been critical of a lot of fans that say like, hey, like just because they're not blitzing doesn't mean they can't be successful. Again, look at Vic Fangio and his system, how he does it. I get that you want to blitz and you want to be aggressive, but there's a downside to that. Those defenses didn't always work all the time. So where do you guys stand? Like, are you, I would imagine you prefer that attacking type of defense too, but are you anti cover 2 type of systems when it comes to football and like what Fangio and Brandon Staley are doing with this league? Because a lot of teams are doing that. Like, look what happened to the Chiefs and Mahomes at the beginning of the year last year. A lot of teams limited them by playing 2 high, 4 high, cover 4, and made them go underneath, and they struggled with that. So there has been some success in it, and it's trending toward that. Well, it already has. Like a lot of teams are going that way, but the city doesn't really like to gravitate to that style. Where do you guys stand in terms of the different styles of defenses?
I think for this city, it's a little bit different, right? Because we're all old enough to remember the Jim Johnson days, right? The overload blitzes on one side, Dawkins coming on the other side, 2 double A gaps, 1 coming off, or just sit in the goddamn house and going all out. So we're used to that type of physicality, and we're used to that type of aggression style of players. Even when Jenkins was here, you know, he wasn't like the physical specimen in terms of his aggressiveness, but he was still aggressive and still had some nastiness on the field. So I think that from a defensive scheme perspective, I mean, cover 2, Tampa 2, cover 1, cover 4, whatever keeps him out the goddamn end zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? I understand that the cover 2 is becoming more popular, and I've always said that it's a copycat league, right? That's how I look at it. Whatever is working for multiple people, whatever gets people towards the Super Bowl or run a deep playoffs, people are going to adopt and people are going to use that into their own. So I could see them running, like I said, I think Gannon's just going to run this hybrid model where he's going to try to limit what the offense does best and using different defensive schemes to do that. So our players have to be versatile. And if you look at our players, especially our front, they can all play different positions and put them in successful winning positions. So from a cover 2 standpoint, I like the cover 2 where your safeties are interchangeable. So there's no free safety, strong safety. It's just, the safety and I think we played that too. Like, especially when Jenkins was here, he could be strong and free at the, kind of interchangeable. So if we have that type of personnel, which I don't know if we do from the safety position, then yeah, cover 2 is fine. I mean, I'm fine with that. But I think to me, the heart of this city from a defense perspective is go get the quarterback. Always has been, always will be. Even before the Jim Johnson, the Buddy Ryan days with the 46 and our defensive line who would just get upfield fast. We've always had attacking linemen, and we've always had corners and or safeties that could hit. I mean, shit, even looking at Asante Samuel still came up and cracked people. You know what I mean? And he wasn't a tackler at all. But we loved it, right? We loved it here. We embraced that aggressiveness style. So I think it's, for here in Philly, attack. Yeah. Right. It's like Avengers 1. What's your plan? Iron Man. I have a plan. Attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm on board with that. On that type of philosophy for sure.
My defensive game plan is very simple. Whatever keeps me from looking like I'm playing against Deshaun Jackson or Calvin Johnson on Thanksgiving, whatever keeps me from those things looking like, I'm cool.
Yeah, it's really gonna be interesting to see how Jonathan Gannon really throws out this defense with all the talent that he does have at his disposal. Now, from what I'm hearing, they're throwing around like different, like a lot of disguises, a combination of 3-4 and 4-3. Like Nate said, it's probably gonna be like a hybrid type of defense. But I'm gonna agree with Nate in the fact that it's Philadelphia. If for certain fans, if you could blitz every play, they would
blitz
want.
every play.
That's what I'm saying. So I hear that at least. Oh my god, I hear it all the time, especially on Twitter. Be like, just blitz them. Okay,
yeah.
I like the wide receiver. And then someone's open, but that doesn't matter.
That's the answer to everything. Yeah, that's everything. blitz, and then we get beat
for like a
on a blitz, and then they
touchdown.
blame the defense, saying you remember
the Falcons game?
He froze. Oh no,
Did he
Chuck.
freeze?
Yeah, that was like a legit thing when we were playing the Falcons in 18, and everyone's like, "Why weren't we blitzing? We should blitz more." Or no, it was 19. Sorry, we need to blitz more. And the one play we fucking blitz, Calvin Ridley takes it to the house for like an 80-yard touchdown.
Oh, yep. The not Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones.
No, are you sure? Oh yeah, but it was Julio.
The screen pass to Julio.
That's what I was going to bring up. Remember the
Oh, the
Jake,
pin
were
setters
you
night.
there
How
the
could I
game?
forget the infamous pin setters night?
The pin setters.
You're fired.
Oh
You're
my
fired.
God.
This
But that's
bartender
my
needs to
point.
be
That's my
fired.
point. We blitz and then we get beat on blitz and the fans are still unhappy. Like it's the casual fan will always be a funny fickle thing.
God,
But
if I could relive that night. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Oh God. AO Swing has a question and doesn't have to do with the defense, but I did want to answer this. Random question: what are y'all thoughts on the Mike Vick era in Philly? Do you think he would have won a Super Bowl if healthy? My answer is no, because I think the one shot we had at winning a Super Bowl was when he was healthy, 2010, the 2010 season. His like co-MVP, I call it the co-MVP year because I think he should have been co-MVP with Peyton that year. But like that season where he went off, he was playing like a top 2 quarterback in the whole league. That was our opportunity, but obviously the Deshaun Jackson shoestring tackle followed by the underthrow to Riley Cooper that kind of it's hard to swallow because I do think we could have had a legit shot that year. If that didn't happen. So I don't think we wouldn't win a Super Bowl otherwise if he had stayed healthy in future seasons. But man, I thoroughly enjoyed that 2010 season. If you guys didn't know, like I always say here, I've never seen a quarterback play better. I've seen a quarterback play maybe as good as well, but in a single season, I've never seen a quarterback play as dominant and better than Mike Vick in 2010. That was like I've never seen anything like that. And we've seen seasons that maybe matched it, and that's fine. But like, I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback in the past since 2000 play significantly better than his play. So I loved that season, and it's a shame it ended that way. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I love that season. I disagree, though. I think Donovan and T.O. was the most special thing I've ever seen. And it started off with a bang, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Vic came on and just didn't let go. And I think it was an excitement that we never seen before. Because I remember it was the Kelly Green and against the Packers.
The Packers, yeah.
When he got in, I remember Klay Thompson and Kevin Cobb, and he was done, and he just came in and he just ignited the offense. He just electrified the offense. So I think Vic's years here was definitely special, but for me, there was nothing like I don't think I've ever seen anything. Even the Super Bowl year that we won it with the Foles and everything. There's two things that I'll never remember. I'll never forget. I'm sorry. I said never remember. Never forget is the first play against the Baltimore Ravens is like an 80-yard bomb. And this T.O. lit it up from there. And the Minnesota Vikings game when they came here and they did the skull. That I think Chris Long said it best. Anybody would have got it that day.
Yeah.
There was something special in the city. There was something special in the stadium. It could have put the 16-0 Miami Dolphins there. They would have got their ass waxed.
Yeah.
It was just something special. So
you can just feel it, man.
Yeah, man. But Michael Vick's era, I loved Michael Vick's era here. I think he obviously grown back his career here. I don't know if they would have won a Super Bowl though. I really don't know. They had certain spots and they were special, but I don't know. Like I'm trying to think because it was Shady on that team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 09 to 12.
Shady was here. Who else was with DJ?
Macklin.
Macklin.
We had Selleck. We had Levant.
Oh wow, that offense was good.
The offense was stacked.
Because Macklin is underrated. I always thought Macklin was underrated. What was our defense looking like?
Shit.
We had
we
still had Asante, I think. Do you want me to go back? I can go back.
I feel like I have to look up what that team. Who did we lose to in the playoffs? Did we get? Who?
Packers. I think Cowboys 1 year.
Cowboys always hurt.
Yeah.
But
See,
the
I'm
Packers-
I'm in the minority. Like, I know a lot of people love 09 to 12. They have like their heartstrings for it. I don't care because you didn't win shit. I think that year. I think that year is like the 09 to 12 team is probably one of the most electric times as a team. But during that time, they were the fucking LA Clippers. You know, you looked great. You know, you're like Blake Griffin dunking and shit. You're looking awesome. You just couldn't do anything with it. Like,
So
Well, I
for the
agree, except for 2010. 2010
Yeah.
was the only time where I feel like that team was. So on
Who did it?
defense, you had Jaquay Parker, Mike Patterson, Antonio Dixon, Trent Cole. You had at
That's why they
linebacker
lost. Their defense wasn't good.
Mhm.
Ernie Sims, Stuart Bradley, Moisey Foku, and then at secondary you had Asante, Dimitri Patterson, Quentin Michael, and Nate Allen.
Nate Allen.
I'm just reading. I don't know if that was the beginning roster to start the season or the ending, but that's what's off Pro Football.
Yeah, that's when Allen was a rookie.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Quentin Michael was just entering his prime when he became a starter. So, like, Michael was good at the time. Obviously, Asante was still good. I feel like Stuart Bradley got hurt, so this might be the start, like to start the year. But I'm not.
He
Mhm.
always gets hurt.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He always get hurt.
He always got hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's we still had pieces, but yeah, I think overall, just looking on paper, it wasn't that impressive. It
No.
was more for the offense. But Jake,
Yeah,
I don't know about
they
you.
lost to the Cowboys that year.
Yeah.
14-13. Did they lose that?
Oh,
Remember
really?
the Joe Webb game? We lost in that was the year of the Joe
Right. That was 2010.
Webb. That was Joe Webb. That was 2010.
That was
That was
2010.
after.
Ugh.
That was right after the Miracle at the New Men Lands. It's the
No,
week
they.
after.
Oh no, they. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, they did lose to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
14-10. Yeah,
Hmm.
that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember some of those games. I'm trying to remind myself of some of those games. But those are the years like Green Bay was really good. Dallas was, that's when Zeke was in his prime. Like those were some tough teams to beat, and our defense wasn't good enough.
No.
Our defense
Not at
wasn't good
all.
2010 was also when we beat. I remember the Colts on a Thursday night. We beat them. That was a huge win too.
Oh yeah, I do remember
we beat the
that.
Colts.
Yep.
That was a huge win. Huge win. So I like again when Mike Vick came in, that team was. I really thought we could have won it that year, but I don't know what like Mike Vick after that year, he just wasn't the same. And I don't know if it was injuries, but like he never could match his level of play as 2010.
Mhm.
So, but and of course we have the Monday Night Massacre. Can't forget that against Washington. Oh my
Oh,
god!
I love that game. I love that game.
Yeah, and that year also, that was the year I won my league because I had Mike Vick and I think I had Jamal Charles too. I had I won my league because I was just absolutely dominating with Mike Vick. So that was a great year. That was
they beat us in Philly too, the Packers.
Yes.
Yeah.
The year
Wild card
21-10.
Yep.
Oh man, that's whack.
Yeah. Yeah. Riley Cooper, underthrow to Riley Cooper in the end zone. If it was just a little bit farther up.
I think I remember that. It was like in the back end corner of the end zone, right?
Yeah.
You forced it.
Yeah. We had momentum. We were marching down the field. And a few plays before that, they hit a crosser to Deshaun. Deshaun made one guy miss and he would have been gone, but I forget who made the tackle. But a Packers defender
The shoelace tackle
by like the inch just was able to get Deshaun to the ground. If that tackle never happened, Deshaun would have won the game. It was that close.
Packers won the Super Bowl that year too, didn't they?
Packers won the Super Bowl that year. Yep. Yeah.
That's how we justify the loss. Well, at least we lost to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Why do you throw the Riley Cooper in that position?
I think he saw the one-on-one and hit the jump ball and tried to do the jump ball.
Has he ever won any jump balls?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
He won a lot of them in 2013.
Oh, the 1 year, yeah. When he was actually
that's right. He did have like 7 or 8 touchdowns, right, or something.
13, he did, yeah.
Yeah, Trent Cole was a beast.
He was. Trent Cole was a beast.
I love Trent Cole.
No, Zeke was in 2013. So there was someone else was in Dallas. Who was the Dallas running back in 2010?
Oh, wow.
Hold on. Cowboys 2010. Who was there?
Wasn't it DeMarco still?
Yeah, it was Murray.
Yeah, it was Murray.
Was it really
I-
Murray in 2010?
Murray,
Yeah.
I think, was
Oh, it
either
was
a
Marion
rookie or in his
Barber.
second year.
It was Marion Barber.
Okay.
Ooh.
Marion Barber was still there. That was the Cowboys had Kitna, Miles Austin, Roy Williams,
Right.
Martellus Bennett, Jason Witten on offense. Yeah, Marion Barber. Rest in peace.
Eagles great Miles Austin.
Talk about dream team. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
good lord.
So getting back to the defense. So I'm looking at the depth chart for the Eagles defense, and on paper we're really, really, really good. Now someone had asked this in online, and I wanted to ask you guys. I think we touched on them before, but who do you think will be the starters out of the safety group? Because a lot of people are high on Marcus Epps. I know some people that do think he's a star in the making. Incredible people, though. I'm not talking about like fans. I'm talking about like
Legit
credible people in the media. They are very high on Epps. I don't agree. I've never been that high on Epps, but I don't know if I'm missing something, and that there other people are saying. So open to discussion. Obviously, safety is the only position group where it doesn't have a bona fide star, like Nate said. So who do you think ends up starting week 1? And what are your thoughts about Marcus Epps? Does he get that starting spot, or is he going to lose it out to Harris and Tart?
I think Harris and I think it's probably Harris and Epps. I actually really like Epps more than most people. I think Tart is probably going to be your third guy. He's kind of going to be your Swiss Army knife, kind of doing everything. I think Epps is probably finally going to take that step that they think he's going to take.
Yeah, I think Epps is going to be the starter just because of all the reps he got, obviously, towards the end of last year. Yeah, I'm with you, Chucks. I don't know what they're seeing in Marcus Epps. I don't see it myself. But, I mean, if he comes on and is actually a competent safety and he plays well, then I'm all for it because he's still a very young talent. But, yeah, I think it's going to be Epps and Harris. I think that's going to be our two safeties, at least starting the year. Maybe that could change. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree. It'll be Epps and Harris. They're saying Kevon might not even make the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Last I saw,
Tart, the next Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, from Clemson. Yeah. Tart, I think it still has to catch on. So you have Harris, who's capable, and then you have Epps. I think people like Epps is because he sticks his nose in there. That's what I see. Yeah, that's what I see with him. He obviously he's not the biggest guy. He's not going to come in and just, clean somebody out, or he's not the most athletic guy, but he seems to be always in position. It's just that, it's his talent level enough to make more good plays than bad plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the way you have to look at it. And I mean, as long as he keeps developing, keeps playing, hopefully that means he's going to get better. But as of right now, yeah, I think those are your kind of pencil in starters week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I could see in the instance where it is those two with Harris and Epps. I think, though, at some point, I do think Tart's going to overtake one of them. And if I were gun to my head, I think it's going to be Harris that he overtakes. I think Tart is going to take maybe a little bit to get used to the system, whereas Epps and Harris already know it. So I think that's why. But I think Tart's too good to be beaten out by Harris. So I think at some point in the season he's going to overtake and become the starter. And I don't think Epps is anything more than a third safety, but I want to be wrong because I would love to have, I love the stories where it's just, an undrafted guy or a late round guy that develop and become something over time, because that means they really worked hard. They really, learned and developed with the right team. And I would love, especially with the way Epps plays, I would love for him to become a star or at least a starter. That'd be a great story. And I'm rooting for it. I don't see it, but I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about him and I want him to be a really good player for us. Maybe like the next Quentin Michael in terms of in that regard. Quentin Michael started out a special teamer, and then over the years he developed and became a good safety and was even good with Carolina. So, I want to see it. So I agree with you guys. Week 1, I think it will be Epps and Harris at this point, but I do think Tart will get in there at some point. I think that's how the safety room is going to shake up. Anything else on the defensive side you guys want to touch on? Anything regarding camp, even in general? I know that the other day, early in this week, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but the talk from a couple of days ago was how Jalen Hurts and Jalen Reagor had great practices. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that. I don't know. Whatever you guys want to talk about before we switch over to league talk. Floor is open.
Getting to the Reagor and Hurts thing. Again, it's practice. Like I don't want to come off saying that training camp and practice doesn't matter, but it's practice. It's one-on-ones, and are we really going to fall for this spell again to where Jalen Reagor had another good training camp, and then come the regular season he's going to stink?
Yeah,
I don't understand it. I mean, I hope he works out. I really do, but I just don't see it. I think, and I talked to Marcus about this during his show, and you can check out Pro Fan Talk on Thursday before our show. But I just think both sides just need to go their separate ways. And apparently, from what I'm hearing, there's teams still making phone calls in regards to Jalen Reagor. I don't know what they're offering. It's probably like a 6th or a 5th or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't put too much stock into offense and how the defense is looking in training camp. I really don't.
I don't really. I'm kind of like right there with Jake. Like, I don't really give a shit about training camp practices. Like, you had Elliott Shore-Parks. It's like, training camp. It's very important that Jalen Hurts is inconsistent. I'm just like, we're fucking 3 practices in. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But also, I'll say that, like, there are people who are overrating and underrating Hurts' practices. Like, I don't care if he lights it up, but let's be honest. Whenever, like, he could shit it up too, and people would lose their overwhelming shit over it. Like, but like Jake said, like, Jalen Reagor was doing like fucking one-handed catches in the end zone last year, so that's why I don't put too much faith in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah, I was a big Aguilar person.
So was I.
Right, I was a big Aguilar person, and I took so much flack.
Oh yeah, I was there with him.
Oh my God, I would take it week in and week out about Aguilar, and he eventually kind of turned it around. Obviously, had the Super Bowl year, and people were like, he's okay, right? I kind of put Reagor in that same kind of bucket. Right, I don't think he needs an Aguilar year, but he needs a decent year so the fans don't turn on him. Because the fans will turn on if he makes this team and he gets a punt return and he goes 5 yards, they will boo him. Mm-hmm. We completely boo him because for the majority of people, they do not want Reagor here. Nope. Right, he's a bust at this very moment. He's a bust. So. Would he do good in probably a different offense? Probably, when he's got no pressure, right? But there's so much pressure on him because remember, we picked him a pick before Jefferson, so that was just that how that already wrote its own story. And then when we needed a receiver, we took him, like he was supposed to be the guy, right? So he's got even more pressure than that. Like I said, similar to Aguilar. So interesting that people are still trying to look at him because I'm assuming there's still talent there. Where they see him, but in certain schemes, he would probably be lights out. Like in Arizona with that air raid scheme.
Yeah.
San Fran, they could do something with him for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm trying to think of somebody else who has like an open kind of 3-4 wide scheme. I mean,
Green Bay.
Tampa, just because you have Brady. You have the GOAT back there.
The Raiders because of Josh McDaniels. That's one.
Yeah. So he could fit in certain spots as that almost fourth receiver.
Mhm.
You know, not even third receiver, but that fourth receiver. You know, so and he's a field stretcher. He can stretch the field for you. So
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting. Like I said, last year he got a couple balls his way, and I think there was a lot of them were tough catches. It would have been great that he come down with them, but there were some tough catches. He had a touchdown or two called back, you know, after making good plays. So it was just like the bad luck kept going. So
Yep.
I hope the kid gets some shine. I think he can really shine in special teams if he plays his cards right, and then he can work his way back into the rotation. But you know, we'll see. We'll definitely see. I mean, he's got like I said, he's a yard eater. You know, he gets the ball and he eats up yards fast, or he can eat up yards fast. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, I'm okay if Rager leaves. I'm not batting an eye if he's here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I don't. I would love for another Aguilar kind of thing happening where third year just all of a sudden he just clicks. Something just clicks and the bad luck stops with him and he gets confidence and then, you know, I would love for that to happen with Rager. I don't see it happening because I think it's a little different. And I think just he needs to change the situation. Like he needs change of scenery. The fact that he's shown out in 3 straight years in training camp and preseason, I think that's just evidence that there is talent there. Like he's a talented kid. You know, that's the stuff that you saw him do in college. I get it. It's a pack. It's it's a weak conference, but it's a talent is talent. Like you saw how electrifying he was, and why people, even if they didn't have him as a first round grade, you know, having him as a second round grade is still nothing to scoff at. So you know, if you had him as a second rounder, you still thought he had talent. So like the talent is still there. I think a change of scenery would just do him best. But I think we all agreed, and we said it a couple weeks ago. He's not going to get cut. So the only chance of him not being on this team was if he gets traded. We'll see. Maybe they're trying to put this stuff out. Maybe they're trying to gas him up or make him look good or showcase him a little bit to kind of boost his trade value and then trade him eventually. But I would like to see him elsewhere. I want to see him elsewhere because I want to see what he can do when given a new opportunity, a brand new start somewhere, fresh start. So, anything else, Eagles training camp wise, that you guys want to bring up, or are you guys ready for the second half of the show?
Let's do it.
Tell Miles Sanders to put some respect on his name.
Respect is earned, not given.
Booby Miles, that's one of the top 5 nicknames in the league. That's the respect you got to put on his name.
Tell him put some
Love
respect
Booby
on
Miles.
his name,
Touchdowns go along with that
man.
respect.
Put some respect on that man's name, man.
Put some touchdowns in the end zone.
Put some respect on that man's name, man.
Watch him score week 1. I'm gonna be like,
I'll laugh. Like, I would
He's
love
better
it.
if he's the starting running back, right?
I agree.
I hope so. Hey, I have him.
I'll call it right now. Gamewell will have more touchdowns in game 1 than he will.
Ooh.
I'll make a bet with you right now. I'll put a bet
$25.
That-
I'm down.
that Sanders this whole season will have more touchdowns than Gainwell.
Yeah, I'll take that bet right now.
Cool. We'll figure out the wager later.
Yeah, I'll take that bet right now.
Yeah. All right. So, fam, listening, if you got anything else Eagles related that you want to cover or talk about, you still want to answer the poll question, by all means, let us know. Drop it in the chat. We will definitely still cover what your comments and everything. But now we transition to the second half of the show, which is brought to you by our doc Paul Vidal of Specialized Physical Therapy. He has 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. Make him yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. All right. So NFL news. I mean, there's not much going on. So we'll hit this quick before we head out of here. But the latest news that I want to touch on, which came as a shocker to me, All right, came out as a shocker to me because I know Jake, me and you talked about this.
Mhm.
The Steelers surprised some people, surprised me. They extended Deontay Johnson, give him a 2-year extension. 2
It
years,
was, yeah,
was
just
hurt,
2
right?
years. Yep.
2-year extension. So he'll be there for this year and 2 more years following. That surprised me because I thought the writing was on the wall. I thought
Yeah.
that like, okay, yeah, he's out of here because the news was before, the reports were that they weren't really agreeing to much contract talk. They were far apart, and so I was like, okay, like he's probably not staying. And even though Juju, there were similar reports I read about Juju, and then they did sign him for like I think it was like another year or something, and then
Mhm.
they let him go. So I thought like, okay, like it's kind of like the same thing with Deontay. I don't think I think his days there are numbered, but gave him 2 more years. That is surprising to me, but if you ask me, you know, I I I've been high on Deontay since the draft.
Mhm.
I think right now, this second, he is the best receiver on the team, even better than Claypool.
Oh,
I
it's not
like him
even a
better than
question.
Claypool. I like it better than Claypool.
Mhm.
So
Feels
if
overrated.
the Steelers are going to invest in one of those 2 wide receivers and give an extension, I'm glad they gave it to Deontay. So I wonder if Claypool now is going to be eventually the odd man out, but we're a couple years out from that. But your thoughts on that, and their rookie that they drafted, which I know Jake, you and I are high on George
I
Pickens.
love George
Yeah,
Pickens.
George Pickens. What does this mean for him? And do you guys think Pickens is still going to have a good year this year, like a potential offensive rookie of the year type of year? Because I think he can. Like, even
Mhm.
though he's the third guy right now, like I wouldn't be surprised if he starts going off and is in the running for offensive rookie of the year. So reactions to the Deontay extension and what this means for Pickens.
Yeah, I was actually fine with it. I like the deal a lot. One of my best friends, he's a huge Steelers fan, so they did a lot right this offseason, signing their guys, paid the guys that needed to be paid. So, and this was just the icing on the cake. Now it's just a matter of what their rookie quarterback's going to do and getting with George Pickens. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I don't know. I'm not going to throw out numbers for you, but
You think he starts? I don't even think he starts.
I think he has a chance to start, just because I know they're really frustrated with Claypool right now. Because I think it was either yesterday or today they were doing a 2-minute drill. He caught a 15-yard pass. He started dancing, and then time ran out.
He's a clown. Like he got his shit like wrecked open in the Steelers Browns game a few years ago, and then the next week he's doing some like Twitch streams. Like, well, see, this is how they're gonna get destroyed. I'm like, what are you talking about? You got your ass whooped like the week before. What are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, I mean Claypool. Don't get me wrong, Claypool's talented, but it's just stupid things on the field. That's all it is. It's stupid things on the field.
That was that whole team though. Like they're so obsessed, I think, offensively over there about being in the limelight and being like TikTok superstars. Whether it's Antonio Brown, whether it's Juju Smith-Schuster, and now whether it's Chase Claypool. It's like
Chase Claypool, yeah.
Same shit, different story.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of those guys.
If AB didn't go off the wall, he would have been a Hall of Famer first ballot.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
And let's not forget, Juju was a beast over there too. We're talking about like good receivers.
Yeah,
young guys. They're like if they want to get on TikTok and dance, shit, score as long as you're scoring touchdowns.
Sure. And then when you stop doing that and you start getting exposed, that's when I start caring.
Mm-hmm.
Who got exposed?
What are you talking about? They were talking about like same old Browns right before that playoff game and doing TikTok dances in the middle of the field, and then they got destroyed.
I'm trying to remember that game. It was a playoff game with against who?
Mm-hmm. Home playoff game for the Steelers, and they got wrecked.
Against who?
The Browns.
Ugh.
They put up 42.
Yeah, I can't remember that game to save my life.
I think that's like it goes kind of like into a deeper discussion though about like Mike Tomlin And this is not. I'm not going to bash Mike Tomlin, but his teams have a reputation of playing down to opponents, and like when they had Big Ben, when they had Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, that trio. Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell were the best at their position for quite some time. You're talking about the best running back and the best wide receiver, arguably in the league, and then obviously Big Ben. And they had obviously they always have good defenses, and they always came up short. Like to me, there's something there. Now I know Mike Tomlin, he doesn't call the offense, he doesn't call defense. He's the CEO type, and I love Mike Tomlin as a leader, but I think it's shown that Mike Tomlin lets his players be them. Now, I'm sure he doesn't approve of what Chase Claypool does. So, I mean, Claypool has a ton of talent, but he does have to grow up. But I'm not, and trust me, I wasn't a fan of what he did last year. I think we all remember the game where he cost them seconds off the clock.
It's like 30 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, 30 seconds off the clock. So I'm not defending that, and I'm not like I have my issues with Claypool, but I'm not going as far as Young over here, where like I think Claypool is also just a young kid. Like he's.
I was about to say, do you think that's an issue with coaching or is that the individual? I don't think that's coaching.
No, that's not.
That's
my what I'm saying is that Mike Tomlin. I mean, there are a lot of other coaches that are like that, where they let their players be their players. They're not like Belichick, where like everything is robotic, everything's in a system. Like guys like Tomlin, they let their players be them. Like Kyle Shanahan, lets the players be them. Sean McVay, so that's why you see certain things like this with Steelers wide receivers over the years, because they're allowed to be, and for better or for worse. And it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing from a coaching standpoint. I'm saying that's because obviously they're doing something right where Tomlin hasn't had a losing season. So they're winning games, but that's why you see this with the wide receivers, with Antonio Brown. You're seeing it with Juju. You're seeing it with Claypool, because they're allowed to be them. They're just allowed to be them. So at the same time, I think Antonio Brown, I don't know what happened. And I mean this in a respectful way. It's totally respectful way, and I could be wrong. But, like, I do wonder if that Burfict hit really affected him. Like, where he got knocked out cold by that dirty hit by Burfict. I really do wonder if that really affected him. Because going forward,
absolutely affected him.
I said that for years, Chucks. I said that's what did it.
The only reason why I say respectfully, because I know that there are people saying, like, there are people that are going to say, blaming that Burfict hit for what AB has done after is what's the word I'm looking for? What's the phrase I'm looking for? It's giving him an easy way out. Giving him an excuse.
Yeah, it's not an excuse.
I don't want to give it an excuse. And I say that like it's coming from a completely respectful and curious standpoint, where I'm wondering, like, because I think AB is a hardworking guy. I think he means well. I think he's a good person, family man. Like I've watched his interview on the Pivot. Like I think the guy is a good guy, but I think he, ever since that hit, he hasn't been the same.
Really I believe him about Arians. I think we've seen Arians explode before.
Yeah.
So I believe he sat down and chewed AB out the way AB said. And now does AB flip out the way he does? No, he shouldn't have reacted that way. But I do think Arians probably threatened him on the bench. No
doubt.
Yeah, I don't think. I think he threatened him on the bench and tried to get him to play. And I definitely think that. And you can see that after the year, Arians got out of Dodge real quick. So he was so he could hide himself behind the front office. So
he's also sick and tired of Brady, it would appear.
Yeah, probably.
Well, he said
gave him a ring.
That Brady's like he said he's cool with Brady. He doesn't have he said in the interview.
But he also said that if Brady didn't come back, he probably would still be coaching.
I mean, that's an opinion for him. It doesn't mean he has ill will toward Brady.
No, I'm not saying he has any ill will towards him. I just don't think he likes coaching him. Like Tom is not everyone's cup of tea.
You're talking about Arians. I thought you were talking about AB.
No, I was talking about
I'm
Brady
sorry.
and Arians.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my bad. I thought you were talking about AB.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, because Tom is Tom.
They don't call him psycho.
Right.
God.
Was that overhead speakers?
I looked at my phone. I'm
speakers in
like,
my house.
So that's Steelers. I mean, Nate, what do you think about the Deontay contract, and what are your thoughts on Pickens? He's been lighting it up also. I know it's Cam.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following, hearing some things and whispers. I thought I heard Rudolph was leading that starting job last I heard.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
And
Yeah,
Pickett has been up and down, but he hasn't really done well. Like, he was with the third team and he stunk up the bed, so they moved him up to the second team to see if it was just playing with lesser talent and maybe better talent around him would help him. But I haven't heard much. But I just heard, Rudolph is winning so far and looking like he'll more likely be the starter, and that's fine. Like, you think like there's some players who need to develop. Like, they have talent and they have skill set, but there are players that come into the league from the first round or whatever round that they grabbed them in, where that need to develop, and it takes. I mean, Rodgers sat on the bench the whole year.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people forget about this. Brady was on the pine for years. Not everybody comes in and just lights up the league and is a star. Even though we see it more often than not, there are other players who develop into what they are today.
Yeah.
So I think I felt like they had to do it because if I'm mistaken or not, Claypool got hurt right with his shoulder.
Yep.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, I think his
Oh,
shoulder.
wow. Okay.
So to me, when I saw it, I was like, oh, they got to lock up somebody, right? They need to lock up somebody who's going to be their featured guy now if Claypool is out for a couple of weeks in the beginning of the year with the shoulder injury. So, I didn't think too much of it. I know he's a good player. He still needs a quarterback to throw him the ball, though. So until they get a decent quarterback, good for him, right? Getting paid ain't a bad thing.
Yeah. I like Deontay in terms of like his quickness and speed is unreal. I mean, I wouldn't say it's Tyreek Hill speed, but I mean, who has Tyreek Hill speed? But Deontay is shown to be such a good dynamic wide receiver. His only flaw is like his hands, which he has improved since his rookie season, but he is still subject to the occasional drop. But I'm glad I've really liked him since his rookie year, since he came out, and I didn't know Claypool got hurt, so that's interesting. That could open the door for Pickens. Reason why I'm so curious with Pickens, I did draft him in 2 leagues, so I'm like, I really hope he can make an impact. But
you already have your fantasy drafts?
Yeah, because Dynasty you do it in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's long term. So
how many leagues are you in?
3. Yeah, but I'm cutting it off there. I'm done. Like, I can't do more than 3. I'm leaving it.
I went from 5 leagues to I don't even play anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I stopped trying to get into leagues, and I mean, nowadays you could probably find a league online, right, and just pay yourself.
Yeah.
That's not fun to me though. That's like
yeah. But I mean, after a while, unless you got a really good league, after a while, people stop talking shit. And then, one more likely because they're losing or their whole team got hurt, right? So people stop talking shit, and then you pick it up a little bit for playoffs, and then it's just I don't know. I used to be in so many, man. I used to be in 5. I would spend and it'd be like 200, 250 in certain leagues and stuff like that. I ran my own league for a couple leagues, but I just man. I don't know, man. I wouldn't mind getting them in probably just 1, but I'm not in any. I went from 5 to 0.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I used to be. There was one year years ago, I was in I think 5 or 6, and
Oof.
I was like, all right, I'm never doing this again. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was all over, and ever since then I've kind of like downward like spiral, not downward spiral, but like I've kind of like eased off of fantasy little by little ever since then. And now it's like I think I told you guys I'm just the only leagues I'll do is dynasty because I love the
I
long
suck
term
at
aspect.
fantasy.
I love that you can trade draft picks for future picks because it makes trading more strategic, more close to real life. And those are the only things I'll do. And I'm done with the redraft and all that. So I used to be huge too on it, like in fantasy. Like my friends and I, we used to do like a Q&A every year on social media, like ask questions and like we'll answer them. Like I used to be all into that, but I've eased up off of that. Like I still love playing it, but it's definitely not. I'm definitely not as high on the whole fantasy football and that community as I used to be, especially like the fantasy football like community like on social media. They're crazy. Like
Yep.
they're
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
They are nuts. And so like I'm kind of like I interact with some. I end up interacting with some of them as like indirectly. Like I'll talk to like Matt Waldman or something online, and then a fantasy football person will reply to my comment, and I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm like ignoring you because like your take is just a little off, but yeah,
Right.
it's one of those things where I used to be really hardcore with it, but now I've eased off.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
just
kind of.
awful at fantasy. I've had so many years where I'm like, oh man, this is the year where I turn it around and it looks like it, and then it goes all to shit. And by like week 7 or 8, I'm just like, fuck it, go on, pick my players. I don't care. Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah, with me, like when I was in like college, I used to have like 7 or 8 leagues when I was in college. But now that like I've gotten a little older, it's like I have 2 or 3, give or take. Maybe probably this year with 4 since I'm doing the dynasty with Chucks. But yeah, there's only like one league like I truly look forward to, and that's the one with me and my buddies that we've done for like 12 plus years. It's always something we all get together, and we always have like a draft party. We always do something different. That's one thing you always look forward to around draft season or fantasy football season, rather, when you have like a good group of guys that you've done it with for years, and it's an event, right? Like the whole draft night's an event. It's a little party. You all get together. You all hang out. That's the one thing I look forward to the most with fantasy.
Yeah, the drafts are always like a nice part. My one league I used to do, a keeper league, auction league. We would have in-person drafts, and it was a party. It was a lot of fun, and I'm gonna miss those because that league ended. So I'm definitely gonna miss those. But I think I think it's for me. I think what fantasy has, it's evolved, and I've kind of steered away from it because it's so saturated with people and like opinions.
Yes.
And not only that, but I think a lot of people also, and Nate, maybe you can like put some insight to this. Like, I think like sports betting has kind of eaten to that market. Um, I think a lot of people have turned to sports betting because it's more like you put your money in, you get instant payouts. Like you don't have to wait the whole season, and there's a lot more like
You talking about like fantasy football stuff?
Yeah, fantasy football compared to sports betting, where sports betting you have so many different options to bet on too, and on game day and stuff like that. Whereas fantasy football is just what it is. You have a team and you build it and you get a payout at the end of the year. So I feel like sports betting and the rise of it has eaten into fantasy football. Maybe not as much as I think it is, but I know people that are like Nate where they don't do fantasy football anymore, but they'll do sports betting, and I kind of dive into. I'm not huge on sports betting, but like I'll do dollar bets. I'll do $5 bets. And it is nice when you get that payout right then and there on that game day. It's like, oh, I made quick money. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to wait till the season's over to get money back on football. So
Well, it's an ego thing too, right? Like
Mhm.
you feel good about yourself that you think you know football when you make right back.
yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And it definitely makes the game more exciting to me. It's just like fantasy football, right? Like when I was doing fantasy football, I was watching more football games because of my guy was in there. Like I was always kind of checking in. So I think it makes you more attentive. And then, your guys go off and it feels good to win, right? It always feels good to win. Who doesn't like a winner?
Yeah.
So I think the one thing where people switch, those who've been doing fantasy for long have seen enough like just bullshit and foolishness in fantasy football. Like I'm talking about like people who don't even draft,
Yep.
like and let it auto draft and they end up in a championship.
I can't stand that.
Yeah, like we've all seen it. Like you do your prep, you got your thing, you get most of your players, you feel good about your team, and then you got somebody who might have set their auto draft who just let it draft by themselves, never set their lineup, and they're still in the chip. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we've all seen it, right? So we've all know people who've done it, and I think that portion of fantasy football that is that much luck kind of turns you off.
Yeah.
Like, do I think there's skill in fantasy football? Yes. And do I think there's a way of drafting your team so you can put yourself in a position to win at the end? Yes. But obviously with injuries, you have to get lucky. You have to, and your guy has to get hot. But I think those folks that just let it go and they somehow win, like, it's just like, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this really happened. Like, so I think some of that is pulling away from the game too. And there's bigger games. So I didn't do it this year. I did it 2 years ago. I think I'm trying to remember where I placed. I did get cash, but in Westgate out in Vegas, they have what the hell is it called? It's the biggest football bet in the world.
Oh,
damn,
oh my God. I know it too. What the fuck is it called?
I have to look it up real quick.
I literally saw a commercial on it.
Super contest.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's the Vegas Super Contest, where the winner literally wins like $0.3 million. It's like 11. That's like a 1,200 buy-in to do it, and you pick 5 teams each and every week. And that's just the biggest one, but there's other ones out there, right? So like even like FanDuel, like I think survivor pools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things like that they do. So, I think that there's so much more to bet outside of fantasy football, where at one point it was just fantasy football that we were betting on. So I think that's another reason too. You see people navigating away, like you said.
Those are great points. Those are great.
Well,
points.
even with like daily fantasy too, right, Nate? With like you just have your one team for the 1 week and you buy in. You don't even have to draft. You can be like they give you a budget and then you can just pick your players and then you go from there.
That was the start of it. That was the start of people steering away from regular fantasy football. Yeah.
So people who do those are saturated now because people have bots that pick.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like
really?
Yeah, like there's syndicate teams and there's syndicate people and there's people who have bots and AI to help them make a pick. So they like literally pick like 30 different entries.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you make money. Like you can they make money, but their volume is so high that the average person, it's just like I call these bets like parlays and those type of bets. I call those scratchy ticket bets because it's literally putting $20 in and hoping you win 10 grand on a scratchy ticket, right? You get close, maybe you'll match 2 and don't get that 3, or maybe you win like $100 or $500 every once in a while.
Yeah,
but like they're like those type of bets are just it's so hard. But that's the aura of the average person, right? The average person wants to bet small to win big.
Yeah,
like I made a big stake. I made a big deal. So we do memberships. So everybody's still watching. We do A2D memberships, and on A2D memberships we have fan giveaways for jerseys. We have fans that come on shows. I think Tom does a great job of giving away tickets. We do a lot of stuff, but also part of that is that I give out sports bets on the weekends, every weekend, and it's only $9.99. So very cheap. Go to HUD YouTube, hit the join button, and you'll see what it's about. And if you look at those lists, you'll see that I've been a decent winning better over the weekend. I think Jake, when it first started, Jake, you made some money, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, you made some money off
Well,
me.
we had that big sweep where we hit everything the one weekend.
Yeah,
when was that?
yeah.
That was like when we first started.
Yeah, that was when we first started. So, and there's been, there's trends, right? There's peaks and valleys, but the one thing about me, if you bet with me, I'm going to make you money. Like I haven't met anybody who's betted with me who didn't win money with me. But kind of lost my train of thought what I was even talking about. But just to going back, I know what it's talking about. But the Mega Millions, right? $1 billion, right? Yeah. How much money did people go spend on $1 billion? And that same weekend, I won $1,000 for $10. Right? Obviously, you got to put money down to bet, but they spent $20, $30, $40, $50. You know damn well y'all motherfuckers weren't. Just know there's a 1 in a trillion chance that you win. Now, I wouldn't grab the ticket myself because you got to play to win. Right? You got to be in the game. So I'm not going to, kill everybody for going to play. But come on, man. Come on, man.
You guys hit great points. Great points. I like the conversation because it's what I was going to say earlier is that like the whole thing with fantasy football and it being luck. That's the whole reason why I became so picky with my leagues. Because one, finding a league where you do it with people that you enjoy playing with matters. So when you're in a league with a bunch of strangers, people you don't trust, and they do something shady, that tarnishes the experience. Two, luck is the stupidest thing in fantasy football. And I've done, I've commissioned my own league for years. Since 2010 or 2009, where I've been doing league. And every year I've always made sure I do what I can to diminish or minimize luck in my leagues and make it obviously more fun. So that's one of my main goals when it comes to my leagues is I do what I can to make sure luck is not a factor. And so, whereas at least not as much of a factor as it can be, I minimize as best as I can. And so like when you talk about, guys that get into these redrafts, redraft leagues online and everything like that, it tarnishes the experience when you have jerks that do these things, with fantasy football. If they don't, I've heard horror stories of people that start leagues and then people don't pay, and then at the end no one gets a payout after all that, stuff like that. Or here's one thing that I'm a huge advocate against is league vetoing a trade. Where you do a trade, you work hard, you're in trade negotiations with someone, you pull off a really good trade where you think that you really, really made out and the other team thought they made out, and then league vetoes the trade because they don't think it's a fair trade. It's the stupidest thing. Like that really like pisses me off when I see stuff like that. Like league veto for a trade shouldn't be a thing. So stuff like that in fantasy, I think has derailed a lot of people. And when you go into betting, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And that's why I've personally become picky. And I refuse to do any leagues anymore unless if I'm like I always, whenever someone asks me to do a league, I'm like, okay, I need to know what the buy-in is. I need to know all the details. I need to know all the rules, all the settings. I have like a million questions. And if I don't like how the league's set up, I decline it. I don't do it because I'm not going to waste my time in a league that I think is badly set up, or I'm not going to enjoy it. So I think it's an interesting conversation, but you do have a lot of people, obviously, with fantasy football that are hardcore into it. I want to definitely have, before the season starts, I want to definitely have a fantasy football. We always usually do fantasy football special, but I do want to incorporate some type of sports betting heading into the season, where we can talk about good bets, because we got Nate. Might as well might as well, take advantage. Some of our favorite bets, our favorite prop bets heading into the season, offensive rookie of the year, stuff like that. The best odds that we have coming up, because that stuff I'm definitely interested in too. I already started putting some small bets on award winners. So I think that would be a good show to have. We'll get into that in the next few weeks. But coming up in an hour and a half. You guys have anything else you guys want to talk about around the league? Again, it's been a slow week. It's just been training camp, so there's not much to talk about. So I don't know if you guys have anything else.
Just a real quick no huddle. Warner Brothers, what are you doing?
Smart
Yeah,
thing.
what do we do?
With the whole Batgirl movie situation, you finished filming it. The movie had a $90 million budget. Canceled. Just out of nowhere. Done.
They don't want to. It's
Not
very
releasing.
simple.
Not releasing it.
Well,
It's very simple.
I
They don't
think
want a $90 million made-for-TV movie.
I think
No,
I think
it was a theatrical movie.
No, it wasn't. It was an HBO Max only.
Is that what it was?
Yes, that's why. Notice that and Scoob were the only two big name movies that got canceled.
Yeah, but it's already done though. That's what I don't understand.
They rather
for like Batgirl. Was that like a thing, a hit list?
I didn't
that
know
they canceled that, and they canceled the movie Scoob, and those were like the two big names that they got rid of. But I think their whole premise was basically, we don't want to make movies exclusively for the streaming service. We want big theatrical releases, and just is what it is.
I also like. Well, here's the question, because I saw a meme of this, and it had a good point. Would you rather have them release it if they know it's a bad movie, like Morbius?
No.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. They were saying it was bad.
Like,
so I don't know.
If the studio knows it's bad, if you're in the you're calling the shots at the studio, would you want a Morbius level movie being put out there regardless of the budget? Would you want to put that out there, or would you want to just scrap it and make sure that you're putting out just really high quality movies? I would prefer the latter. Because to me,
hurts the brand.
From the business standpoint, I get making money. And so, like, if you put it out there, it's going to make some type of money to help recoup some of what you spent. But part of it is brand, too. You put out bad movies, especially if you're WB and you're trying to compete with Marvel and Sony, it's going to take a hit to your brand. So every bad movie you put out goes against you.
Taking that hole deeper.
I am not going to. I think it's a good move by DC, by Warner Brothers. If they really believe it wasn't a good movie, then don't put it out. Don't put it out. I don't want to see it. I
want to see it. I do hope they release it one day, but I'm just like, it sucks, and it's sad because Leslie Grace is a really good actress, and she put a lot of hard work into it.
That's what that is.
I wish they didn't let it get as far as they did.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew it was that bad, then why not stop it sooner?
But also, you had the regime change in like the middle of it, so that's also
true. That's true too.
Yeah.
But
I didn't follow any of the DC stuff. The last I saw, I don't know if the rumor is true, was that they're working on another Batman vs Superman.
No.
Okay, so that must be just fan rumor.
Yeah, that's
just Snyder bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next in DC then?
Black Adam and Shazam.
Black Adam. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess after Black Adam.
I think they're going back to propping up their big three, which they should, and making good, smart movies for the future.
Yeah. They should. Just put out good movies.
You say propping up their big three. You talking about like Superman, Batman,
Wonder Woman.
And Wonder Woman. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Which is what they should be doing.
Yep.
I mean, Wonder Woman 84 was horrible.
It was. But Jeff Johns had a big part in that.
Yeah.
I was telling my friends this, and this will be my last thing I say, is that in the last 20 years, there shouldn't be the same amount of Suicide Squad movies as there are Wonder Woman and Superman movies.
Yeah. Yeah, they've had to have made a Man of Steel 2 like yesterday, like a year, like years ago. That
Mhm.
should have been
Yeah.
a thing. Like, and I was a fan of Man of Steel. Like
So
a lot
was
of
I.
people that love Superman hated that movie because it was dark and serious.
No, I
I
love it.
love that kind of stuff. I thought that was the most realistic and down to earth take on Superman, which brought a level of like it made him more relatable
Mhm.
as a character.
They had the right actors in there too. Like Zod.
Yeah.
Zod,
I'm not a big Zack
Zod
Snyder
was
fan.
amazing. The guy who played Zod was amazing. I forget his
Oh,
name.
it's
but-
great.
Michael
Yeah,
Shannon.
Michael
Shannon.
Shannon, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but I'm not a big Snyder guy, but I love Man of Steel. And what sucks is that the guy who's directing the new Highlander movie that's coming out eventually with Henry Cavill, they wanted to do Man of Steel 2 together, and they had this whole script and everything for Brainiac to be in it, and WB's like, no, we're good, man.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
'Cause
And
they're
like
stupid.
I feel like Man of Steel also was good because I know it was directed by Zack Snyder, but it had Christopher Nolan overseeing it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that put that kind of helped offset Snyder's, what can I say, like
Snyderisms.
outlandish Snyderism when it comes to his films. So
I could,
his touch, I think Nolan's touch helped that movie a lot. And then
Mhm.
once Nolan left, Snyder was like, all right, I'm all in. And then what happened, you saw what happened. So
Yeah.
I can do without the Jesus imagery every 2 seconds.
I can do without you character assassinating like Batman and making him seem like I don't want to say it.
God.
I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, that's my thoughts. Just put out good movies. WB,
There you
just
go.
put out good movies.
That's
Just
all I want.
put out good movies, and they have been for the most part. They have been doing well, so that's why you're seeing a rise in their. A lot of people now are giving them better feedback because they're putting out good movies. That's all you need to do. Like, you don't need to have a shared universe like MCU does. Just put out good movies.
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
exactly. All right. Anyone else got anything up on the huddle?
I think
All
that's
right,
it.
man. All right. Well, good show. I mean, we didn't have much to talk about, like I said, but we still made it through a good hour and a half. And I'm sure once these preseason games start, maybe
Mhm.
not. But we should have some more news to talk about in the next coming weeks. Who knows? Maybe there'll be an Eagles trade that comes up this month yet again. So we'll see what happens. But to the fan that's still listening, thank you so much for tuning in. The Birds of Feather, once again, we appreciate your support as always. Make sure you check out all the other shows at the station. We got a show every day for you, for every type of fan that's looking for anything. So appreciate the support. Check them out. Nate, you can catch them on Sunday mornings. Nate Money Pot Podcast. They do great stuff there. So if you want more insight into the betting game, definitely check his stuff out. He does a great job, phenomenal job on that show. For our sponsors, especially our main sponsor, Manscaped, remember, use the code A2D to get 20% off. So for myself, Chucks, for Mr. Nate Money Moss to my left, to Jake below me, and to Mr. Young to my bottom left. We appreciate you guys.
I see
Have
you
a
keep
good
flexing
night.
on them, huh? Damn.
Have a good night. Have a good week. Stay
Fun
safe.
show.
God bless. And fly, Eagles fly. We'll catch you later, guys. Peace out.
Later.